Hey, what's up, guys? I just recently hit 2,000 hours of comprehensible input in Spanish, so I just wanted to make a quick video talking about the journey and kind of how things are at this point, what you guys can expect at around 2,000 hours of input. I'll put the stats up here. So I have like 2,026 hours of total input. 57 of those hours are crosstalk, and 147 hours of those are just talking with natives. I didn't really count like specifically like talking with natives because it's kind of hard. Like you randomly talk with people day to day, so it's not really that easy to count. But around 147 hours, give or take some or more. And the three things I wanted to talk about were listening, reading, and speaking. Just kind of give you guys an update of how like these three categories are as of right now after 2,000 hours of input. My listening, I'm mainly listening to native content, mainly stuff on Netflix, podcasts, YouTube. I'm not listening to Dreaming Spanish as much. I only listen to some of the videos that are kind of more interesting and stuff like that, but not as much anymore just because there's not really as much need for it. I think at this point you can listen to more native stuff. Some of the stuff on Netflix, I kind of wrote some of these down. I finished off a couple of series. One is La Primera Vez, Café con Aroma de Mujer, and Amar y Vivir. And right now I'm listening to El Cartel de los Sapos, which is really cool. It has like more accent, or like they use voz, because it comes from Cali, and they use kind of more slang and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. The other shows I really liked as well. I learned like a lot more as compared to like 1,500 hours as compared to now. These shows are a lot easier to understand. Like I remember starting La Primera Vez at 1,500 hours, and there was just so much slang I just couldn't understand. I was getting like the general gist of it, but I wasn't understanding it like fully and stuff like that. So that's mainly my Netflix stuff. I'm listening to more stuff on Netflix. I have like a kind of a list. I'll probably put in the description box below some of the stuff that I'm listening to and like all the stuff I mentioned in the video. I also am listening to podcasts. Some of them are Las Cosas de Internet y Expertos de Sillón, which Las Cosas de Internet is just like a tech podcast, which I do remember as well. Like I started listening to it around 1,000 hours to 1,200 hours or something like that. That was definitely difficult, and I kind of just got lost because they were just using like so many words about technology and stuff like that. But now I can listen to it a lot more comfortably, which I'm like pretty excited about. And as well as Expertos de Sillón. They talk about random topics, like just random things. Like one episode was like talking about bees and stuff like that, and like all like the stuff about how bees are, and like I don't know, they're the little like beehives and stuff like that. So stuff like that is still difficult because it's like new vocabulary and stuff. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad, and I'm enjoying it. Now I'm able to enjoy these more around 1,800 to 2,000 hours. I'm able to enjoy these a lot more. And also just YouTubers. So I'm watching a lot of Twitch streamers that post their videos on YouTube. So like there's some guys, Pedikanger and Andre. I'll put them in the description as well. And I also started recently getting hooked on watching La Rosa de Guadalupe, like reaction videos, and Tu Voz Estéreo. I don't know, they're just like really funny. Like people like Twitch streamers react to them, and it's like really interesting. I don't know, I could like sit for hours, and like the episodes are like 45 minutes long, so you can just get really easy input like just by listening to like people react to stuff. And I want to give a big shout out to Mex Talkie. I started listening to their podcast I think around 600 or 700 hours, and they're just two like Mexican dudes that are just like sitting and chilling, and like they drink a beer the whole time. And they just talk about random stuff. They just talk about random like stuff about Mexican culture, and they just talk between each other. It's like 20 to 30 minutes long or something like that. One of my favorite podcasts, even now, whenever they send out like a new video and stuff like that, I'm always like first one to watch it. And they're quite easy to understand, and you learn a lot of Mexican slang, so I kind of like it. It's pretty interesting. So that's my YouTube. So yeah, mainly I'm doing Netflix podcasts and YouTube. Like the podcast I'm usually doing when I can't sit down and like watch stuff. So I kind of just like put it on in the background when I'm like brushing my teeth and stuff like that. And as for reading, I put reading kind of on the back burner. So I have only 75k what's it called, words read in Spanish. So I can't really read like complicated text as of right now. I can pretty much only do graded readers, stories for children and stuff like that, like Chicken Little and stuff like that. Yeah, so pretty much like I can't really read too well. I mean, I can understand like texts, I can understand simple like sentences if I take my time and read it. I still get shocked sometimes about the spelling because you're just like not used to it. Like when you hear a word so much and you're like, oh wow, that's how you write it. So you still get that kind of like shock factor. I think with more time it'll get better. I just haven't put more emphasis in reading. What I'll do is like in the next couple of months, after I kind of wrap up my listening, I'll start focusing more on reading. I do notice that, or what I did want to do is that I wanted to wrap up my reading at around, or my listening at around like 2.5k to 3k hours, somewhere around there. I'm not sure. I'm kind of just like winging it and kind of just going with the flow and see how it goes. Right now I'm at like 2,000 hours. I feel like I would need a little bit more, a couple more 100 hours for me to be a little bit more comfortable. So let's see, I'll do like maybe a 2.5k and a 3k update in the next couple months, or whenever that I end up hitting those many input hours. And yeah, like at that time I'll get to like reading and start for more, or like focusing on that, because I feel like reading with like 10 books, 10 recent like normal sized novels, you can get like 1 million hours of reading, or 1 million words of reading. If you do 30 hours or 30 books, you can get 3 million words of reading, roughly, like around there. So it's not too bad. So yeah, I'll probably do that. And then as for my speaking, I started speaking at around 1,400 hours, like give or take, somewhere around there. And I do remember that I couldn't pronounce things at all. Or I couldn't pronounce things really well, let's put it that way. And conjugating things were really difficult as well. I knew like, I kind of had an idea of what it should sound like, but I couldn't actually say it. Like I couldn't pronounce it, and I couldn't like conjugate it correctly. But with more and more hours of input and also a bit of practicing and speaking, it's not as bad right now. I mean, I still forget words. I can't speak as like fluidly as I can in English. Conversation about day-to-day stuff, I think is okay, is decent. But if I talk about stuff like politics and like science and all that, I can only talk about like kind of like the high level about those kind of stuff, like the kind of top level about that. And yeah, I do notice now that with more listening, I do notice that I'm picking up words and I'm starting to use them in my speech without even noticing. I remember there was this word, averiguar, which is like to find out, or to like find out something. I didn't even notice it existed until like between 1,800 and 2,000 hours, which is really interesting. And I started noticing that I could like use it and conjugate it correctly at like around this time, whereas before I like didn't even know it existed or what it was and stuff like that. There was also some words like cirugía, which I couldn't pronounce. Before I couldn't, like it was like so difficult to say it. And I didn't even, like after so many hours of input, I didn't really practice it much, but I was able to say the word after some time, and like I figured out that this is the way to say it. So it's pretty cool. Like with more input, I'm able to speak better, which is really relieving. Like you don't have to practice too much. So just like getting more input will make sure that you know exactly how to say the word and articulate it correctly. So it's pretty cool. Right now, I would say like between 1,500 and 2,000 hours. I would say if you put me in a Spanish-speaking country and there's like no English around me and stuff like that, I could get around and move around and like live there and like do things day-to-day stuff completely in Spanish. So I think that's pretty solid. I do think that you need more than 1,500 hours. I know the Dreaming Spanish website says that you need like 1,500 hours to be fluent. So I think this is more like basic fluency, like being able to just get around and stuff like that. But being able to have like deep conversations, talk about like science and all this kind of stuff, and I don't know, making really, really good friends and talking about like random stuff, I think maybe you need more hours. So that's kind of that's kind of the reason also I'm making this video, is just to see like how things change from now till 2.5k hours and 3k hours. Some stuff that I still don't like, still is a little bit hard, is obviously pronunciation is still a bit hard. Reading, speaking with usted, because I've listened to a lot of content that had, like up until 1,500 hours, I listened to more content that had people using tú instead of usted. So I do notice that right now it's a little bit difficult. It was more difficult at 1,500 hours. I don't think I could have produced it at 1,500 hours, but now it's a little bit easier. I can kind of like grasp it a bit more. And El Cartel de los Sapos, they use vos instead. So I do notice it's a little bit like different, and like you have to get used to it pretty much. You have to get used to different ways of speaking and accents and all that. That being said, I think as of right now, I can kind of listen to, for the most part, I can listen to anything. I can get kind of the general gist of mostly anything. If it's like too difficult or whatever, I'll probably get lost, and I'll kind of I'll just get lost, but I'll still understand like the general topic of what's going on. Like if somebody talks about like black holes or something like that, I'll get the idea of like, okay, we're talking about black holes and we're talking about some specific thing, but knowing the specific vocabulary that I need for speaking about it and stuff like that, that's still hard. And as well as accents. Like if I'm listening to an accent that I'm not really used to, like from Central America, or like different types of accents, like that are not usually heard. Like usually the Mexican accent and the Spanish accent is really used for dubs and stuff like that, so it's a little bit easier. But yeah, listening to slang from those countries or like other places is a little bit difficult. Even listening to slang from countries that do have lots of dubs and do have lots of content is still not that easy. So yeah, pretty much still getting used to all that. And yeah, pretty much I wanted to also put a section here about like of me speaking a bit. I'll kind of explain like why I started learning Spanish in Spanish. Y bueno, voy a hablar un poco en español. Voy a contarles por qué me decidí a aprender español. Creo que fue en 2022 que me fui de vacaciones a Latinoamérica para, no sé, disfrutar un poco y tener vacaciones allá, porque yo trabajo como remoto, entonces soy programador, entonces puedo trabajar en cualquier lado. Entonces pensaba que, ok, bueno, voy a sacar jugo o aprovechar de esto, que puedo trabajar en cualquier lado. Entonces creo que antes de mi viaje en 2022, en noviembre, me fui, creo que en noviembre o octubre, me fui a vacaciones, y antes de eso estaba usando como Duolingo y estaba haciendo como charts de conjugaciones, de como estar y ser and stuff like that. Y pensaba que esta manera de hablar o de aprender un idioma es un poco difícil y no es tan natural como conocimos nuestras lenguas maternas, o sea, cómo aprendemos nuestras idiomas maternas. Y pensaba que debería estar una manera como diferente para hacerlo. Y me encontré con Dreaming Spanish, creo que hace dos semanas antes de mi viaje. Y me vi ¿cómo se llama? Como Dollar Course de Pablo. Y lo vi y estaba pensando que esta manera de aprender español es más como suave o más tranquilo que, o sea, estudiar gramática y todo esto. Y pensaba que, ok, esta manera es más como fácil y es más como natural. Entonces puedo hacerlo por mucho tiempo y no te cansas, ¿no? Y entonces así fue. Ah, tomé como 100 horas de input antes de mi viaje y estaba en Latinoamérica por casi 2 meses y noté que no podría hablar o comunicarme con la gente y no podría hacer muchas cosas. O sea, tenía 100 horas de input comprensible, entonces no tenía como expectaciones muy altas. Um, entonces, cuando me regresé a Estados Unidos, um, pensaba que, uy, esta fue muy difícil para mí y creo que podría comunicarme y tener como más, o sea, ¿cómo es? Como más amigos. Podría tener más amigos si podría hablar español. Entonces, me decidí tomar español más en serio, un poco más en serio. Y empecé, creo que con 1 o 2 horas de español cada día. um, y haciendo solo input comprensible. Y bueno, estamos acá como con 2000 horas de input comprensible. Y creo que me ayudó mucho. O sea, ahora, como ustedes pueden ver, no hablo muy perfecto. O sea, también me faltan palabras. O sea, cuando quiero explicarme un poco de una manera específica, no puedo. Um, pero está bien. Creo que con más input um, todo va a estar bien. Y creo que con mi escuchar, o sea, escuchando español, creo que puedo escucharlo muy bien. Pero sí, todavía me falta un poco más. Creo que con 3000 horas puedo hablar un poco más fluido y puedo explicarme más fluido. Y bueno, solo eso. So yeah, I hope you guys kind of like this update video. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. I'll go ahead and like answer all the questions down below in the comments. And I'll probably come back to you guys at 2,500 hours and at 3,000 hours. Let's see how things go. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys thought about it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.